Marco, thanks so much for taking the time to do this interview. Yeah, really stoked to chat with you about your career in music. And as you know, I cover quite a few topics on this channel, but one thing I focus on a lot, or primarily, is helping composers get their foot in the door with music licensing and earning extra income on like royalty-free music libraries and such. But beyond that, I hope to like inspire people by sharing other composers' experiences in the music industry. And I love that not only have you done some film scoring, but you're also a performer. You work with a band called Winter Dust, which we'll talk about later. And on top of that, you're an Audiojungle author and a reviewer. And to top it all off, you're also apparently a sample library developer. So basically, you're kind of like the perfect guest for this channel. And yeah, I'm excited to have you here, man. So thanks again for taking the time to do this.
Thank you for having me here. I'm honored.
Right on. So yeah, I guess like the first question I have for you is like, where and when did your like path in music start? Like, how did it all begin?
Well, for me, like I think, like most of us, like a massive passion since I was a kid. But I think I gained the consciousness of like that I could do it, the confidence that I could do it since I moved here to London because I studied like a music production school, and that's where I thought because coming from Italy, that's sort of considered as a hobby. So I
Right.
never really thought I could ever do it, but I never thought I would never do music. I thought, okay, if it's not going to be my job, it's always going to be there. I'm going to make music regardless. And when I moved here to London, that sort of thing changed a bit. So I realized it can become a job.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
working
And
towards that direction.
cool. Was there any point? I'm curious if there was any point like where you experienced like some like uncertainty or doubt about pursuing it as like music as like a profession, and if you did feel that way, like how were you able to like kind of push through that?
Always, every day, like an uncertainty is always around the corner. Like even nowadays, like every day.
Yeah, same.
Uh, I think you can relate to that feeling. Like
Yeah.
whenever there's a track that I'm not happy with, I'm already doubting myself and hating myself, and then I listen to it again the next day. I thought it's not too bad, so maybe I can carry on. So it's always like that. But for me, it's more like a passion thing. So that I like doing it. So yeah, I try to push myself by listening to others,
Right.
and tend to always feel like I'm not as good as anything else that I listen to. Like if I compare myself to anyone else's music, I always think, oh, would I be able to do that? So, that feeling of knowing that I'm never really there is what drives me to try and, try even harder. So
Right.
it's a weird situation where like the uncertainties and the doubts actually drive me further. It's strange to explain.
I completely understand that. Yeah, and it's a dangerous game comparing yourself to others, but at the same time, it can be, yeah, fuel for the fire as well. So
Yeah.
so you have experience as a performer, which is super cool and interesting. And you work with a band called Winter Dust. Can you tell me a bit about your background there? Like how long have you guys been playing together? And was playing shows and or like touring and stuff like that? Was that something that you were actively doing and pursuing before COVID came along?
Well, Winter Dust like is very old. Like the beginning of the beginning, from a different name, different genre, and everything started in high school. Back in high school, that's me and the frontman, the singer. We've been making music together since then, and that was punk rock. uh, now, every time we would listen to new music and move to different genres, and then the lineup of the band has been together since 2008 now, so we've been together for a while. And although it's harder to find gigs in
Mm-hmm.
Italy in general, especially for our genre, because we do post rock, post hardcore, whatever that means, it's difficult to have that much space as compared to other bands. But yeah, no, we really enjoy. That's one thing that I do for pure enjoyment, and it's something that again, it's my same thought. Is like we don't know if we'll ever be successful, which we're truly not, but regardless of that, we still want to go on because we have fun and we don't really care much. So yeah, it was obviously easier before COVID. Now we've been stuck for a while. Hopefully we can change that soon, but it looks like things are coming back. So
Assuming that playing gigs and performing was something that you were doing before you got into music production, or maybe that happened at the same time. You can let me know. But like, I'm curious about how and when you discovered music production. Like, when did you kind of discover or start working like on your computer with music and like getting into that kind of stuff?
well, with the band was the first experience of that stuff because you start recording your own demos at home in a very terrible way with whatever you can find. Like thinking of that now makes me laugh. But yeah, we were literally trying any way of making something that we could listen to, basically. So that's how I started using the computer for that. But yeah, so that came first, and then I thought, okay, I like this recording and producing and all this stuff. So I thought I would like to be a sound engineer because that sounded like the easiest path to get to pursue in Italy, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I never even considered like becoming a producer or a composer. No, it's very stupid. It's just my brain works in a weird way. I'd always thought, okay, I don't have a degree in I don't know, like a classical you say academic path. I didn't follow that sort of stuff, so there's no way I could possibly ever make music that way until I came here to the UK. So that's where I realized, oh, when I moved here, I thought, okay, it's still for just recording, like so sound engineer. And then, also tutors, they were all pushing to that direction. And I thought, oh, I can actually make music even if I don't have a conservatoire, diploma or something like that. And as stupid as that, like it's literally, I don't know why, but I never thought I could until I moved here, basically. So that's how it all went in that direction, and I'm very happy.
That's so interesting to me because it's a really similar path for me as well. Like it started out as like I was making demos and recording stuff onto my like my old Pro Tools rig for my bands, and it kind of dawned on me at one point that I could it actually was so easy to work with a computer, and I had all these ideas that I could easily put down, and then like kind of one thing led to another, and at some point I discovered sample libraries, and I was just like, oh, like this is amazing, like I can make like orchestral music, this is super, super cool. So just to like switch gears here a little bit, looking through like listening to some of the music that you have on your Audiojungle profile, obviously you're capable of producing music in like a broad range of genres and styles. You got everything from like corporate tracks to trailer and orchestral music, rock, acoustic, like electronic. It's really varied. So I'm curious whether this is kind of an odd question, but like I'm curious whether you ever struggle with like how to brand yourself as a composer, and is this something that you think about? Because I think it kind of like makes sense from a marketing perspective to like put yourself out there as like someone who's like really good at a specific genre or like a thing, like the trailer music guy or like the horror music soundtrack guy or something. And like for me, it's like always been a bit of a struggle because like I write in so many different things. Like I'm interested in so much different music, and I've always kind of struggled with like, you know, how do I present myself to the world as a composer? Like, is that something that you think about?
Oh yeah, constantly. Because I have, well, like any other composer, like you as well. I think we all listen to broad, um, loads of different genres of music, and
Mm-hmm.
as composers, it's fun to try. And write not always in the same style. I think I got to the point where I thought, okay, like I need to divide the two things, like being an artist and like the artist career as your own personal exploration and letting your own voice and identity become something, and your side as a composer for media. Because I think when you're a composer for media, you need to be flexible, which doesn't mean you can be great in everything. There will always be the strengths and the weaknesses, but the more you can do, the better. And for me, it's also that's exactly what I like about music for media. It's just like I don't have to do just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can, one day I feel like making an electronic track and I'll do that. And the next day, I don't know, I want to try a corporate track because I have that idea. I'll do that. I never get bored. Sometimes, when you have to just do the same genre over and over, you run out of ideas. And this way, it's, there's always something new, something to learn, something to push. So that's how I see it. But yeah, I do feel the struggle sometimes in understanding what my identity is. But the identity of a composer, is not always one thing. I think that's more for artists to have like the strong identity.
Right.
If you think, like all of the if you think just a random name, Hans Zimmer,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can tell there's his style, his way of doing stuff, but he's done so many different things that you can't think of him and just have one thing in mind. Whether, say, if you think of Oliver Arnold, for example, an artist that I truly love,
Mm-hmm.
when he comes from an artist's perspective. So when
Mm-hmm.
you want his soundtrack, you already know what's gonna sound like roughly. There's an evolution through his career, but he's got that type of sound. So we can play with all of those. That's why I like it.
So much of a lot of the content that I create for this YouTube channel is focused on like helping others get their foot in the door with like music licensing and like, you know, generating some income through like music libraries, royalty free music libraries and such. Given your experience as both like a composer and someone who reviews music for Audiojungle as well, I wonder if we could talk about like just in a general sense, like what makes a song licensable, and looking back on the tracks that you've had the most success with as a composer, like what are some, in your opinion, like what are some key factors that make for like a successful track on like a music library, for example?
That regardless of the amount of music that I listen to, is something that is still very difficult to tell. Like it's
Right.
uh, knowing what will work is always very difficult because and unpredictable, which is also what makes this whole thing really cool. But again, I think it's always good to try and keep things simple, and separate again, like yourself as an artist, and having your own voice and have the power of expression with no limits, and the music for media composer, where you have to be focused and try to understand that music you're writing is not for you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's for something else, and you need to hope that someone else will find something usable out of it. And so I think good ways of approaching this world is trying to, first of all, have a listen to all of the music from media around us, because that gives you a good indicator what's working and why, trying to understand why, and then understand what it is that you want to do, because there's so many different streams. There's, as you were saying also before, like there's corporate music, there's music for I don't know, documentaries, there's music for trailers, and they all have different characteristics. So imagine where you want your music to be used, concentrating in that helps making the music licensable, because it's born with a purpose.
Right.
and
Right.
and keeping things simple, and uh, not too long, very simple structures, and again, yeah, simplicity I think is key. Generally, for me, also tracks that have gone well for me are the ones I least expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually going to ask you about that because that's the exact same experience for me. And it's always a surprise. Like, yeah, like I sometimes will put a track out there that I'm particularly excited about, and nothing ever happens. And the ones that I kind of just like don't think much is going to happen, sometimes they do really well. And it's always like, man, like what is the secret? What is the secret? Like, what am I missing here? It's always so random to me.
It is and it isn't. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes overthinking in this world doesn't work as well, as it could work if you were making your own album, to release and then go and perform it. It's two different worlds. But again,
Mm-hmm.
another good thing that I think is important is try not to be too attached to your music.
Right.
First of all, because whenever you get a rejection in life, when you're very attached to it, it's hard to digest. I get my music rejected for projects and stuff, and if you're very attached to it, you just lose the focus on why. Um, Whether if you maintain a certain distance, and you're writing music for a purpose, and which is media, and that's where you should be focused on.
Yeah.
If they don't like a particular thing you use in that track, fine, get rid of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's all that sort of process of taking certain distance from what you make, and the tracks that you're most distant to, that's probably why are the ones that work best, because you made without caring way too much. You didn't spend 3 hours on a hi-hat thinking, oh, that's a perfect sound. Nobody notices that. And the track that you
Yeah.
wrote in 3 minutes the day before is, being licensed everywhere. That's just how it works.
It's so true. It's so true, man. And that's like, yeah, that's a very, that's important. A really good, good insight there for sure. Do you think, that like with sync or with music for media and like, and for composers that are kind of just starting out, do you think that the issue, like, the more prevalent issue is like mix quality or composition and arrangement, and like, or is it both? And if like, and I'm curious, like if one or the other, was it like a particular struggle for you when you were starting out as well?
Yeah, but I mean, they're both. The fact is, for being a good composer for media is you need to know a lot of stuff now. Back in the day when I think, they had all the money to like splash the cash, you know,
Yeah.
you had the composer just focusing on writing the notes for that stuff. And then you have the orchestrator, who takes the stuff from the composer and makes it into something, that's, speaking just for example, for film music, there were a team of people working on it. And the composer is just one of them. Nowadays, you get, a composer that has to do everything and record and produce the whole thing, mix it. So there's so many things you need to learn, but also technology is making it a lot easier. So it's both things together. But I think, yeah, people tend to struggle a whole lot more with production, probably
Right.
because sometimes you hear very good ideas, but like not just they don't translate the way they should because the production side is weak.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I got you. Um, I have this idea in my head that like on the on the hierarchy of like importance, like the mix quality of a track isn't necessarily like the most important thing. In the way I see it is like a really good composition can speak through like a subpar mix, and I think there's like a lot of evidence for this in the history of popular music. Not to
Yeah.
obviously downplay the importance of like a really good mix, of course, but in terms of what's like essentially the most important part, or like the most important for the success of a track, do you think maybe people place too much importance on mix quality and not enough importance on composition and arrangement?
That's a very good way of seeing this stuff, and I agree with you. Like sometimes, like if the track is really well arranged, well made, harmonically and all of that, like it translates even without having to go crazy on the mix. What I mean, like in terms of production skills, is sometimes I think it goes in the way of a good track because it doesn't translate what the track is supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about like the incredible mix made by, I don't know, top producers and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really the simple things. I'm personally, when I mix and when I'm thinking about that part, I try to not overthink it and go quite quick. I'm not way too I don't go way too much into details unless it's really necessary. So I try to leave that part like and make quick decisions and see whether it works or not, but not waste too much time on that. And generally, I think I spend more time on the actual composition. So
Yeah. Cool.
so it I think there are two things. You need to find the right balance. Like a really bad mix won't make a really good track work, and a really bad track won't benefit of a good mix either. So it's somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's a careful dance between the two for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also want to talk a bit about like your work as a composer and about getting work as a composer. Can you tell me a bit about like what you've learned with regards to, I don't know, like hustling to find work and putting yourself out there, making connections and networking and stuff like that? Because like I often tell people that like sustaining a career in music, or at least to get the ball rolling at first, it feels like it's like kind of like the 80 thing, between like 80% hustling and like 20% is just like your musical expertise or whatever. Would you agree with that? Do you feel like that's like an accurate way, or
I
what's your
think so. Yeah,
experience?
yeah. It is very difficult for everyone, I think, in general. Like, it's I think there's a big need putting yourself out there first, because
Mm-hmm.
when I first started making music, you can't expect, like, I couldn't, I never expected anyone to come to me and say, "Oh, you make music, great. Can you work on my project?" Because I'm no one. I haven't, they don't have anything to listen to. How can I be of any appeal to them? Like there's millions of people like me that make music as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought, okay, I'll start by making tracks and put them out there. And the more you make tracks, the better you get at it. And so I literally just started by making music as a personal exercise and a personal research, and also to have stuff out there. And then, whenever I have a better track, I might, delete an older one, and then, try to keep the good ones out there. And I started literally by looking specifically for, like film composing, like finding projects from, students that were making their first project, because they're as good as I am in music, like we're just starting, so they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be way too picky. And until I found the one that some group of people that were making short films, and they were really talented, and but also sort of making it for passion as well. So I had my first attempt at making music for film for their short films, and that's how you start. I think, try to find something at your level first is good. Put a lot of stuff out there, make a lot of music for your own personal growth, and then reach out to people with something to actually for them to listen to. Because if you don't have anything to show, it's hard to find anything, I think.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. I felt like I was thinking back to like the first time I actually had um, like a real professional gig, um, and it was good because I had like some like experience, like you said, just doing working for nothing professional, just working with like students or for that kind of thing, and building some confidence there. But I was terrified the first time I actually had a real professional paid gig. I'm curious, like what was the first like serious project that you had, and like did you feel prepared going into it?
No, I really did. Also, because I think, yeah, the main big thing I've done is a feature film
Right.
for an Italian director. Funny that, like another, on another note, like I go all the way from Italy, study here in the UK. That's where I find, the confidence to start doing it. This whole, and the first big gig comes from Italy, exactly from my city as well. It's just random. Anyways, without what I did here, without all of those student projects that I did, without all of the tracks that I made for what seemed to be no reason at all, that's what got me that gig. Because he had something to look at, and he liked the way I was working to picture and add into the story. So I had to do the soundtrack for his movie, and I felt way out, like that felt way out of my league. So I was shaking at first.
So I also
Yeah.
want to chat with you about the quarantine piano, and this is a contact instrument that you've created. Super interesting to me. You sampled your Yamaha U3 piano, I believe that's right.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I've tested this out myself. First of all, it sounds beautiful. You've done an incredible
Thank you.
job capturing it. Um,
Thank
and yeah, all of you watching this, by the way, I highly recommend downloading it. I'll put the link in the description
Thank
for
you
it.
very much.
Yeah, man. And you've also written a series of demos using it that I've listened to. I listened to on your SoundCloud page, which are really beautiful as well. First question I have is just like what was the inspiration to create that instrument? How did you get started with that?
Um, I had it like in my head for a while that it would have been cool to do a sample libraries and sample library just for the fun. I'd dive myself, like I just tend to jump into things
Mm-hmm.
that I don't know. But also, I've been following a lot the Christian Hansen YouTube channel and all, and once they put on the piano book, which is really cool, and I thought, oh, I need to try it as well. And then, I always thought when I'm in London, I really miss my piano. It's special to me because it's mine,
Mm-hmm.
not because it's the best piano in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I like to have that sound. So, um, following all of the tutorials that they have on the website, I thought I'd give it a go. Plus, quarantine. So I was going as mad as I could possibly go. So I thought, okay, this sounds perfectly reasonable to do. So I tried. I tried. It's been really fun. I had no expectation whatsoever. I did do like I do sometimes small stupid instruments for contact just for a project that I'm working on. Just sample a few things and
Yeah.
put them in a. But when you're trying to do it for someone else, even if it's free, so people tend to be nice about it. But like you feel the pressure, no? And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it as a game. Like let's pretend that I'm a sample library
Right.
a developer. So I thought, trying to find out how to make the design of the GUI and all of that stuff. And then I thought, okay, when I finish, I'll do the demos, which I thought I would struggle with. But then I made an EP, but just because I thought it, I was very surprised that once you have your own instrument, it's so easy to make music with it. And I thought I would struggle, like, because I thought, what do I do now? But then, yeah, I don't know, like, it came so easy. That's why I made an EP, not just for show off. It's just literally one track after the other so easily, and I still use it. Not because it's my because it's my and I have to look like I use my own library. Just because I made it according to my taste and I enjoy using it. So
Yeah. Well, I'm using it too.
thank you.
I'll be using it in my future like production tutorials because it sounds really good.
I'm honored.
I think that's it, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but is there anything you'd like to promote, or any projects that you're working on right now? Any albums or films that you're working on?
No, I just finished recently this short film. Actually, it's a very nice message that it gives as well. It's called Floppy Toast with Drippy Butter.
Oh, cool.
Interesting name, but it all makes sense when you watch it. As the last one that I worked on, and it's been really, really cool little short film to work on. And yeah, if you guys want to check that one out, that'd be nice. There's a nice, message to be spread with that film. So that's the last one that I've done so far.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to put your comments and your questions down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And in the meantime, I hope you're all doing well. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.